Dear viewer, this video is available in Hindi as well. If you wish to watch it, please visit our Hindi YouTube channel, Drishti IAS. For your convenience, the link for this video in Hindi has been provided in the description below.
Hello friends, welcome to a new episode of Drishti IAS editorial analysis. In this editorial analysis, we do three things. First of all, we link the editorial to the UPSC syllabus. Secondly, we try to understand the key points of the editorial. And thirdly, if any key concepts have come in the editorial and are important from exam point of view, we also discuss that. So let us begin today's editorial analysis. We have taken today's editorial from the Hindu and it has appeared on 20th of June. The title of the editorial is Revolving Door and it says that a never-ending tale of defections continues to churn the political pot in Manipur. So it deals with the anti-defection law and how it is being applied selectively in Manipur. Now let us look at its linkage with the syllabus. So it links directly with GS paper 2, where we have constitution and polity as important topics. And under this it deals with the constitutional articles and features of the constitution and also with the parliament and state legislatures, their structure, functioning, conduct of business, powers and privileges and issues arising out of these. So after establishing the link with the syllabus, now let us look at the key points of the editorial. Before starting with the key points of the editorial, let us look at Manipur on a map. So here we can see Manipur and we can see all the other northeastern states as well. So here one more point to note is that Manipur shares its border with states of Assam, Nagaland and Mizoram and international border with Myanmar. These kind of questions are sometimes asked in prelims, so one should be prepared. Also, if we see the other northeastern states, Sikkim is having international border with Nepal, China and Bhutan. So it is sharing its border with 3 countries. Also, Arunachal Pradesh is sharing its border with 3 countries, which includes Bhutan, China and Myanmar. If we look at Assam, Assam is sharing its border with 2 countries, Bhutan and Bangladesh. Meghalaya is sharing its border only with Bangladesh, whereas Tripura is also sharing its border with only Bangladesh. Mizoram shares its border with 2 countries, both Bangladesh and Myanmar. And Nagaland shares its border only with Myanmar. So these are the kind of facts we should be aware of. Now let us look at the issue in Manipur. So on 19th of June, there was Rajya Sabha elections in Manipur which has 1 Rajya Sabha seat. Now the BJP candidate has won with 28 votes in the 60-member Legislative Assembly, and out of these 60 members, 1 member has been recently disqualified by the Speaker after the directives of the Supreme Court. So the effective strength of the Assembly is 59. And some political developments have taken place in the state where 3 BJP MLAs have resigned and joined Congress. 4 National People's Party MLAs have also resigned and withdrawn support from the BJP government. Also, 1 independent MLA and 1 Trinamool Congress MLA, they have also withdrawn support from the BJP government. So it seems the BJP government has come in a minority. And also the Congress party has claimed that it enjoys the majority and it should be allowed to form the government. But there have been claims and counterclaims by both BJP and Congress about enjoying the confidence of the assembly. The BJP chief minister at present is N. Biren Singh. He is an ex-footballer. And in the 2017 Legislative Assembly election in Manipur, BJP had won only 21 seats and Congress had got 28 seats, which was just 3 members short of the majority mark in the 60-member Legislative Assembly. But still, the BJP was able to join hands with other political parties and form the government. And it was helped in this by the defection of 1 member from the Congress who later on became a minister in the BJP government. And this Congress MLA, T. Shyam Kumar, he has now been disqualified by the Speaker after the Supreme Court barred him from entering into the Legislative Assembly. So only after the Supreme Court's intervention, the Speaker was forced to decide on his disqualification. But the Manipur Speaker is yet to decide on the disqualification of 7 Congress MLAs who have defected to BJP over the course of last 3 years. And this is where the Speaker's role comes into questioning under the anti-defection law, which gives sweeping powers to the Speaker in deciding these disqualification cases. And the Supreme Court in the landmark Kihoto Holohon versus Jakilu case of 1992. In this landmark case, Supreme Court had upheld the sweeping discretions available to the Speaker in deciding the cases of disqualification of MLAs. But at the same time, Supreme Court has also said that judicial review of Speaker's decision will be allowed because the Speaker, while deciding on the disqualification, acts as a tribunal, and the decision of the tribunal can be challenged in the High Court as well as Supreme Court. So, Speaker's decision is subject to judicial review. Also, because of the partisan role of the Speaker in all such cases, the Congress party has also served a notice for removal of the Speaker under Article 179 Clause C. This is also important from prelims point of view. So, Article 179 Clause C, it provides that a Speaker or Deputy Speaker may be removed from his office by a resolution of the Assembly passed by a majority of the then members of the Assembly. So, this article is important. So, after this background, let us look at the key points of the editorial. So the editorial says that the crisis in Manipur is like a revolving door where the political defections are taking place on both sides. And it also says that Manipur has over the last few years seen a never-ending tale of defections from one side to another. And here we should know that in 1967, this Ayaram Gairam phrase was coined when a member of the Haryana Assembly, whose name was Sri Gayalal, he changed his political party thrice in the course of one single day. And from this incident, the phrase Ayaram Gairam in politics became very common. And through 52nd Amendment Act 1985, this anti-defection law was brought in, also known as 10th Schedule, to curb this practice of political defections. But so far, this has not succeeded in its aim, as political parties have found various loopholes to exploit. So the series of defections in Manipur, it has led to a political crisis, and the recent crisis has been created by the withdrawal of support to the BJP-led government by National People's Party, which has 4 MLAs, 2 independent MLAs, and also defection by 3 BJP MLAs who have resigned from their seats and joined the Congress party. And after the 2017 Legislative Assembly election, though BJP had only 21 members, as opposed to Congress having 28 members, but still it was able to cobble up a majority by aligning with the smaller political parties and also with the help of defection of Mr. T. Shyamkumar, who had defected from Congress to BJP in 2017, and he enjoyed a ministerial post in the BJP government. But he was finally disqualified in March 2020 after the Supreme Court intervened in the matter. But over the years, 7 more MLAs have defected from Congress to BJP, and the Speaker is yet to decide on their disqualification. And this is where the Speaker's role comes into serious questioning. And this is not just about Congress or BJP. Whichever party has the Speaker, and which is obviously always of the ruling party, it always tries to use that office of Speaker for its political aims and gains. And because there are sweeping powers available to the Speaker under the anti-defection law, so the Speaker can do as per his or her will in these cases. And this leads to more problem, and many experts have called for some kind of curbs on the Speaker's power. But as far as the law is concerned and Supreme Court's judgment is concerned in the landmark Kihoto Holohon versus Jakilu case, the Speaker has full powers to decide on these disqualification cases, though his decision is now subject to judicial review. And also in this Manipur case, in the Rajya Sabha election, only a few select candidates out of these 7 MLAs were allowed to vote in the Rajya Sabha election. And this is also bound to be challenged in a court of law. And the editorial also says that this game of defections that is going on in Manipur has also opened the door for Congress to stake claim to form government. Because it seems now with the withdrawal of support from the BJP government, the numbers are in favor of Congress. Further, the editorial makes this point that the political defections are not unique to Manipur. They are happening in most of the states in India. And the recent examples have been in Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Arunachal Pradesh, and Uttarakhand. And in all these states, the Speaker's role was very critical. And in almost all the cases, the Speaker did not act in a bipartisan manner. The Speaker played his role as per what the ruling party wanted. And this has led to demands for curbing the role of Speaker. And this also shows the failure of anti-defection law in curbing the subversion of electoral mandates by the legislators who fight election on the ticket of one party and later on defect to another political party for either ministerial berths or for financial gains, and in the process betraying the mandate given by the people. Also, the editorial says that there has been questions raised about the role of speaker in these disqualification proceedings, and also it raises the question whether anti-defection law in its present form is serving any purpose at all. The editorial also makes the point that the only disincentive for defectors at present times can be the public censure or the punishment meted out by public in elections by not voting for such candidates in the by-elections when they resign from their seats just for political gains. But even here, the editorial says that the recent by-election results show a very disappointing trend, that most of the turncoats have been able to win their by-elections from another party. And this shows that the Indian voter is not concerned about this issue at all, and maybe perhaps does not consider it a serious issue at all. And that has resulted in the political parties and the candidates flouting this rule with impunity. Also, this is acting as an incentive for the candidates as well as the political parties to indulge in such brazen acts of political defection, because they are assured that the public is not going to mind. The public is still going to vote for these political parties and for these political candidates. So this is where the public needs to make sure that such turncoats do not win the election. They do not vote for such candidates who are shifting their political loyalties for personal gains. So this was all in the key points of the editorial. Now let us look at the key concepts. In key concepts, let us look at the 52nd Amendment Act of 1985. This brought in the anti-defection law, and it provides for the disqualification of members of parliament as well as state legislatures on the ground of defection from one political party to another. And this has added one new schedule to the constitution, which was the 10th schedule. And this is also commonly referred to as the anti-defection law. And it lays down the process by which legislators may be disqualified on grounds of defection by the presiding officer of the legislature, based on a petition filed by any other member of the house. And the decision on questions as to disqualification on ground of defection is referred to the chairman or the speaker of such house, and his or her decision is final in the matter. The law applies to both parliament as well as state assemblies. And what are the grounds of disqualification? So if a member of a house belonging to a political party first of all voluntarily gives up the membership of his political party, then he is liable for action against this anti-defection law. Secondly, if he votes or does not vote in the legislature contrary to the directions of his political party, then also he is liable for action as per this law. However, if the member has taken prior permission or his conduct is condoned by the party within 15 days from such voting or abstention, then the member shall not be disqualified. So this exception is also allowed if the person has taken prior permission or his or her action is condoned by the political party within 15 days of such an act. Thirdly, if an independent candidate joins a political party after the election, then again he or she is liable for action under this law. And fourthly, if a nominated member joins a party 6 months after he or she becomes a member of the legislature, then also this law applies. There are few exceptions under this law. So legislators may change their party without the risk of disqualification in certain circumstances, which are these. So the first one is that the law allows a party to merge into another party, provided that at least 2/3 of its legislators are in favor of the merger. And in such a scenario, neither the members who decide to merge nor the ones who stay with the original party will face disqualification. So this is an exception allowed under this law. Also, we should know about the 91st Amendment Act 2003, which made one change in the provision of 10th schedule. It omitted an exception provision, that is, disqualification on ground of defection will not apply in case of a split in the political party. There are some advantages of having this anti-defection law, for which it was brought into existence in the very first place. So it provides stability to the government by preventing shifts of party allegiance. Secondly, it ensures that the candidates remain loyal to the party as well as to the citizens voting for him. And it promotes party discipline, and it facilitates merger of political parties without attracting the provisions of anti-defection. And it is also expected to reduce corruption at the political level. Finally, it also provides for punitive measures against a member who defects from one party to another. Now, over the years, various recommendations have been given to overcome the challenge posed by the implementation of anti-defection law. So these are very important from answer writing point of view in mains. So the first committee was Dinesh Goswami Committee on Electoral Reforms, and it suggested that disqualification should be limited to following cases. One is when a member voluntarily gives up the membership of his political party, then he or she should be disqualified. Secondly, when a member abstains from voting or votes contrary to the party whip in a motion of vote of confidence or motion of no confidence, then he or she should be disqualified. And political parties could issue whips only when the government is in danger. So this was Dinesh Goswami Committee's recommendation. The second recommendation is of the Law Commission in its 170th report, and it said that the provisions which exempt splits and mergers from disqualification should be deleted, and pre-poll electoral fronts should be treated as political parties under anti-defection. And thirdly, political parties should limit issuance of whips to instances only when the government is in danger. So this was the recommendation of the Law Commission. Thirdly, Election Commission has also given suggestion for improvement in anti-defection law. So it has stated that the decision under the 10th schedule should be made by the President or Governor on the binding advice of the Election Commission. And this is the process which is applied in case of Office of Profit disqualifications. So whenever a case of disqualification comes under this Office of Profit, then the disqualification proceeding is done by the President or Governor based on the advice of the Election Commission. So Election Commission has suggested that the decisions under 10th schedule should also be made like that, and the Speaker's role should be curtailed. Finally, let us look at the kind of questions that can be asked in prelims and mains based on this editorial. So in prelims, one can be asked direct question on anti-defection law or 10th schedule as it is known. So you should be aware about the Amendment Act which has brought this law into place. So that is 52nd Amendment Act, and further changes were done by 91st Amendment Act. Then also about Manipur, a question can come, how many seats it is having in Rajya Sabha. So it is having only one seat. Then also about Speaker's role in deciding anti-defection law cases, and the role of judicial review, whether it is allowed or not. So it is allowed now. In mains, the question can be about anti-defection law, whether it has outlived its utility, and what changes or reforms have been suggested, and what you can suggest to make this law better. Also, a question can be asked on the declining political behavior, that how the political behavior across political parties is seeing a decline and how it can be checked. And finally, a question can also be asked on whether the anti-defection law goes against the freedom of speech and expression of a legislator, which is a fundamental right. So on all such issues, one should be prepared with points. So this was all in today's editorial analysis. We'll see you next time with another editorial. Thank you.